Good morning. We are deep diving into morning routines today, so let's go ahead and make this thing happen. Is a morning routine truly necessary for success, or is it overrated? I do believe how you start your day is a lot of how you finish your day. So if you wake up just really groggy, really just kind of you're kind of going all over the place, you're not okay, or let's say that you had a fight previous night, and so you wake up with that fight on you and you feel terrible. I think that carries throughout your day. But if you wake up refreshed, you wake up and you feel like you've done something for the day, it's much easier to carry that energy throughout the day. My current routine is wake up, go to the gym first thing, and then currently now doing these recordings, making this video. And then after that, that's really when my day kind of starts. So I don't think you have to have some crazy huge routine just to get started, but I do think the energy that you carry at the beginning of the day, it's a lot of times is how you finish the day. Can a morning routine be detrimental if it's too rigid or time consuming? Yes, and yes. I've fallen victim to this many times, especially when I started following Atomic Habits, by James Clear, because he talks a lot about if you kind of batch habits and you kind of stack them on top of each other, you can be really efficient. And what I would do is I would literally have this 10 to 15 thing list that needed to be done before I got out the door to go to work. And that's cool, but at some point that can get way too rigid, as the questions kind of suggesting. I think it's really the best morning routine that I've found so far is with Alex Hormozi's theory of constraint. And I think that's actually somebody else, but he uses that a lot in his stuff. Is if you dedicate the first 4 hours of your day, of your morning, let's say you wake up at 5 and then you start your day at 9, and you put that towards whatever you're trying to do next, whatever you're trying to build, the most important thing. I find sitting in that and having those 4 dedicated hours of time to work on the thing that's limiting the business, or the thing that's limiting the thing is instead of you try to do all these different tasks and all these different things, a lot of times what's limiting us, what's stopping us, is really one thing to get to the next level. Kind of like the boss you got to beat to the next boss, and so I've found, at least when working from home or whatever, that has been probably the most productive thing that has shown a lot of returns on investment. So thoughts, yeah. Don't get too rigid with your morning routine. Should a morning routine be designed to maximize productivity or focus on personal well-being? Maybe a mix of both. I think you've got a lot of different buckets, a lot of different things that you have going on, like your mental health and your actual physical health and all these other things. And I do think that you have to balance each of those. And so, for instance, waking up and going to the gym, yes, you can go to the gym in the middle of the day. Yes, you can go to the gym later on in the day. But you got to know yourself, how likely am I actually going to go to the gym if I wait until later? For me, it's very unlikely. So getting to the gym in the morning, in the early morning, is really important. And then, so that's kind of part of taking care of my well-being. And then productivity, I'm recording this video right now before I start my day, because I know once I start my day, the chances of me actually finding the time to make this video are not as high. So getting the most important things out the way first allows me to one, feel good about what I'm doing, and two, it's just, it's out the way. Now, as far as your well-being, another part to that is you don't have to just work on your well-being, your personal growth, your self-development during the morning time. Talked about this in the last episode, but pretty much you can absolutely make this school of yourself while you're driving. The majority of jobs that are offered today in the US, I think, are like driving jobs, right? Like, and so with that, driving is not so fun, but if you're maybe in the driving position or even in the office, same thing. If you're in the office, and, obviously you need your focus time, you need your whatever, you can put on a podcast. You can literally select, 50 books that you're going to read and learn and kind of grow yourself. And you may say, oh, $15 per book, that's a lot of money. But like the lessons that you learn in each of these books are well worth that $15 a book. And I'm just talking for Audible or whatever, but like that's just, you don't have to just keep it to your morning routine. You can extend it throughout your day of learning and educating yourself. Are powerful mornings a luxury only for those with flexible schedules? Powerful mornings. I don't know if that's an actual deemed term because I've never heard of powerful mornings before, but I would assume are mornings that you choose only available to those with flexible schedules. And I would argue back, maybe majority not. I do think that there are morning people, and I do think that there are night owls. I'm very much a morning person, so it's actually easy for me to get up in the morning. It's also easy for me to get up in the middle of the night. But I realize that is not everyone, and so I don't want to speak for everyone. But I'll speak for myself. I think that if you have to get to work at 8 o'clock, you kind of have to work backwards. You got to kind of think, okay, I got to get to work at 8. So what are the things that are important that I want to get done first for myself? If I have to get to work at 8, or I have to drop the kids off at 7:30 or what, I mean, like what's important, and then work backwards and say, okay, cool, like I can definitely wake up at 5, or I can wake up at 5:30. That you can do. Or maybe like me, sometimes I enjoy waking up early in the middle of the night, having that 2-hour focus time block, and then I'll sleep until it's time to actually do regular stuff. It just depends on the schedule that I'm making. We talked a bit about task management or time management in the last episode as well, where you have control over your schedule. You clear all the obligations, clear all the things that are just sapping your time, because your time is your most valuable asset next to your mind, your brain, your knowledge that and you have control over that. Don't allow yourself to have that self-limiting belief that I cannot control my morning schedule. I cannot do this. You may, like I have, 5 kids, soon to be 6. Like you do have points where, like, let's say the kids are up, and so that kind of interrupts that kind of thing. So yes, you do kind of have to get up before that. Or for me, right, I'm recording right here in the car because I know like this is the cleanest, easiest recording environment that I can have. Like I could be at home, but then I kind of have to like stop and start, like if the kids come over or whatever. I could record in the office or whatever, but like this is just on my way. This is right here. I literally can jump right into work right from here. And so like you can choose. You can make these choices for yourself. Is the 5 a.m. wake up trend backed by science or just societal obsession with hustle culture? Don't know anything about science, so I can't speak to science. I definitely, you definitely hear a lot about waking up at 5 in any sort of business-minded media. And I do think that there is something to waking up and in doing something for yourself first. Now, that being said, you don't have to. You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. You can wake up at 8 a.m. You can wake up at 11 a.m. The thing is that you have control over your schedule. Like you look at your 24 hours and you have your sleep that you have, then where does all your time go? And I think it gets more about being disciplined versus waking up being the solution. Being disciplined about like, okay, this is this time block, this is this time block, this is this time block. Cool, got it. We're good. And so in theory, you don't really need to wake up at any certain specific time. It's just a matter of more doing what you say you're going to do and doing that for yourself first. Should parents with young children even attempt a strict morning routine? This is very important. Like, you need a routine in general for yourself. Now, it doesn't have to absolutely be a morning routine, but I find like you got to get it in where you can get it in. You know, if the kids wake up at 6 a.m. And you have to kind of get the kids ready, all that type of stuff, well, like, that time is now dedicated for that. And so if you never pencil time in for yourself, and I think I made this in one of the videos that will be coming out about self-growth, if you never take that time for yourself, everyone else will take that time, right? It's like, oh, I have kids, so now that time is dedicated to my kids, so I can't really do anything for myself. And the question you may want to have is like, why am I even wanting to wake up? You know, you got to have a reason for waking up to start with. And if you don't have that reason, if you don't have that drive, of course you're going to sleep in. Of course you're going to be like, you know, I'm kind of tired. Don't get me wrong, sleep is great. Get your sleep in, get the necessary amount of sleep, but don't squander the hours that you have that aren't sleep. You know, like, take your sleep and then make the most of all the stuff, you know, all the time that you have after that. 1 second. Okay. Next question. Do successful people really follow elaborate morning routines, or is it just marketing hype? I do think that successful people have very specific routines that work for them. And it may seem that it's really convoluted or really complicated, but that's just us from looking on the outside in. If you realize like your time is really the most valuable asset, and it is, the more that you can leverage your time, the more that you can control your time, the more that you can take advantage of pockets of time. Instead of a meeting, for instance, instead of a meeting needing to be an hour, does it need to be 30 minutes? Does it need to be 15 minutes? Could it be 5 minutes? Like, you can do the same hour meeting in 5 minutes. Like, that's 55 more minutes that you've bought back, and you have many, many more meetings. And so for ultra successful people, or from what I can tell and what I've, observed, their schedules are booked back to back to back to back to back to back as they're working, right? They're doing their work, but they do have time, right, when it's like off, and I'm, with the kids and with the family and all that type of stuff, and that's off the calendar. But if you're literally making the most of your time, you're taking advantage of your time, which, by the way, like, money and time are the same thing. You go to work, you go to work and exchange your time for money, and then you spend money to buy back time so that you can live, right? You're buying back time in your house. You're paying money on your mortgage to keep you safe, in that house for an extended period of time. And so if you continue to waste your time, like, you're also wasting your money. You're wasting both time and money by not being intentional about, like, what you're doing. And so morning routines, or very elaborate morning routines, they come systematically. They happen because of a reason. And the more and more nuance you get with your time, you may find that you may also have, your time is a bit like that too. I know my calendar is. Is exercise more effective in the morning, or is it better to work out at a time that suits your body's natural rhythm? I'm going to go with, like, suits your body's natural rhythm all the way. I work out in the morning time because it works better for me. I feel a little bit better. But, like, if you hate the morning, why would you force yourself to go to the gym if you hate the morning, and it also doesn't feel good for you to do that? And you also know that you can go work out later on and you'll actually feel better and you'll do it. It's all about just making commitments to yourself. If you know you'll do it at 5 p.m. or at 8 p.m. or at 1 a.m., whatever it is, there's no problem with that. Like, whatever schedule, whatever calendar you make, it's more about making the commitment and sticking to the commitment and doing it over and over and over again. Can a morning routine be effective if it doesn't include mindfulness practices like meditation or journaling? I think that this comes down to the effectiveness of a morning routine. A lot of times might be the idea that, did I get what I wanted to do done in this time? And I've found for my own self, when I tried to batch all these things into my morning routine, it's like, oh, I'm going to take the shower, and then I'm going to write my journal, and then I'm going to go cook myself a gourmet meal, and then I'm going to do all these other things. It was like a pile of cards, like ready to fall. Like, one thing messes it up, or like you take an extra 5 minutes journaling and it just like falls apart. And you do that every single day. And so I think that, like, coming back to the question, like, I think if that works for you, do it. But don't think that just because other people are doing it, it will absolutely work for you. There is something to like journaling, right? Like writing down your thoughts. There is something to, being, centering yourself. All those things, those sound great. Those sound amazing. And if they're very important to you in your day-to-day morning routine, do those. But if you find that the most important things that you want to get done aren't getting done consistently, I would challenge whether journaling or doing mindfulness practices are of the highest priority for you. Not because they're not important, and can they be moved down to another part in your day. And if so, great, let's do that. If it's a non-negotiable, then yeah, do that, accept that, and then also remove things around that so you have more space to kind of do that mindfulness or that journaling and stuff like that. Are morning routines culturally biased, favoring Western ideas of productivity and discipline? I can't speak on this one. I'm sure that there are different types of morning routines around the world. And I'm sure culturally there's certain expectations, right? In, America, it's like the 9 to 5 hustle, or things opening up at a certain time or closing down and shutting down at a certain time. And so we shape our schedules and our day around when the market opens. And our bosses expect us at work at this time. So I'm sure that it can be different in the world. But I also kind of like the idea of taking other things that are part of the world elsewhere and applying it to my Western cultured schedule, right? For instance, I took what's called a siesta. I take a siesta in midday from about 1 to 5. And all that means is a big long break. And in different parts of the world, it's called something, all sorts of different things. But I looked, as I was looking on ChatGPT or whatever, I looked and I discovered like a lot of cultures have midday breaks where they take these big midday breaks. And I really needed it because, like, as a father, of 6 boys soon to be, like, I want to make sure that I'm showing up and giving them enough energy and time and all that stuff. But I also, as a sole provider, like, I have to, work a lot of hours. And so I have to be able to hit my commitments, be there for my family, and then, get back to work and do the thing. And so I'm not sure I don't think that we're favoring Western ideas of productivity and discipline. I think that each person, each space, each place has its own way about going about things that are norm. And then, of course, you can adjust based on, whatever you want to do. Should morning routines differ significantly for men and women based on biological or societal roles? I can only speak for me and my wife, because that's pretty much the only example that I have. But like, me and her schedule are very different. She takes care of the household and runs the house, and so she's also a night owl. She's definitely not a morning person, and so we don't follow the same schedule at all. We have certain blocks of time where we kind of intersect, right? But for the most part, we don't. For instance, I'll give you my schedule and I'll give you my morning schedule and give you her morning schedule to kind of give you a good sense of this. So me, pretty much wake up 5 a.m., go, shower, get out the door at 5:30 a.m. This is before the sun comes up, go over to the gym from 5:30 to 6:30, and then from 6:30 to 7:30, roughly around this time now, record a YouTube video, and then get back so that we can pretty much go take the kids to school. And so depending on if I take the kids to school and if she's coming, she's going to the gym with me on the other side of that. But if she's not coming, that looks different. So I'll stop there and then come back to wife. Wife probably wakes up about 6:30-ish and gets all of the clothes ready and all the lunches ready and all that stuff ready. And then by about 7:30 it comes, and then she drives to school if we're driving together, and I'll work on admin tasks while she's driving, and then we get to the gym after dropping off, and then we go together. So her schedule is completely different than mine, and I'm sure that there could be a lot to be said about different schedules for men and women and how we go about it. I can't really speak on that, but I do know that not one size fits all across the board, and you just got to figure out what works for you and what works for you and your partner. Let's see. Do morning routines impose an unhealthy pressure to always start the day right? I don't think so. I don't think that, each day, or at least for me, I wake up and I'm like, yo, let's go, let's get this. I try to start the day and say, okay, let's go, let's just make it happen. Because when I don't, I find that I drag through the day. When I wake up and I'm like, oh, today's going to be terrible. Today's going to be the worst. Why? What's the point? Everything is slow in the worst way. You know what I mean? And I don't like slow days. I'd rather be busy. I'd rather be moving. Or rather let's get this. And so I think it is mindset. I did a video coming out in a couple days on the channel about mindset. It is about how you go about it, because if you say I'm gonna have a bad day, chances are you're gonna have a bad day, on some real shit. If you're I'm gonna have a bad day, or you wake up and today is terrible, yeah, you're putting it in the universe. It's not, I don't even think it's frou-frou, oh my goodness. It's just when you change your mind, you literally shift your mind to say this is not a good day, and now all of a sudden your mind is now looking for all the ways that this day is not going to be a good day. So I do think if you wake up and say, yo, today's going to be a vibe, let's go, let's get it, you'll probably have a better day, probably have a better morning routine, all that type of stuff. Is caffeine consumption an essential part of a morning routine, or does it do more harm than good? Can only speak to myself for myself, but look, I need my cup of coffee, bro. I need my coffee. These are the drugs right here. The caffeine is real. I know many people that can't drink coffee or whatever it is. Caffeine, it doesn't make them feel good. It gives them, crashes, makes them spike. And so for me, it is an essential part of my day. But it's more like a warm, calming feeling than almost like a forcing me to get up type of thing in the morning. I don't need coffee to kind of get moving because I already got sleep. It's rare that I'm damn, I am hurting right now. It's a rare thing. So get enough sleep, and then, use your coffee, drink your coffee, enjoy your coffee. Or if you don't drink coffee and you don't like coffee and it's not your thing, that's okay too. It's not necessary, not required. Can hitting the snooze button ever be part of a productive morning routine? It's walking the line, right? I think hitting the snooze button maybe one time, right? I have an alarm that's set for 5 a.m. and I kind of want to hear that alarm before I know that I have to get up at 5:30. Boom. But you're walking the line if you keep on hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and hitting it, because you're then conditioning your body to be like, this actually isn't important. This alarm's not important. I can still sleep through this. My wife has like, I feel like she hits the alarm a million times. But she still gets up and gets it done. So I'm sure it works for some. For me, it's just one time. That's it. Okay, let's get up. Let's move. Let's see. Are technology-free mornings, no phones or screens, realistic in today's hyper-connected world? I would say that I'm going to say like a yes and a no on this, not because I believe like you shouldn't have your phone or your computer or any of that type of stuff, but I would say moreover for the incoming distractions that could hit your radar if you're not disciplined, right? What I mean by that is like you open up your phone first thing and then all of a sudden you see an email about X, or you see a text about Y, or you see a social media post about this. In that moment in time, that's now taking you off of what you originally were going to do in your morning routine. And so I used to be very susceptible to this. I'm not anymore. Like I can wake up, look at my phone, be like, okay, what's the stats on the YouTube channel? What's the stats on the TikTok? What's the stats on the PPC campaign that's going for the my Facebook ads? Okay, what does the checking account look like? Great, cool, okay, and then like I'll literally check what's the question for the day, the deep dive that I'm doing. Cool, got that. Go into ChatGPT, write it out, boom. So that doesn't bother me at all. Also, I can pull up my phone and be like, okay, let me listen to this book, or let me listen to this, whatever. So none of that, the distractions of the phone that maybe impact a lot of people, they don't really impact me anymore. Maybe because I'm just more intentional with my time. I know that if I don't do X by Y time, like it's just not going to happen. And so being very specific and saying, okay, let's go, let's get to the gym. If I don't wake up by 5:30, and get out to the gym, it's probably not going to happen, because I also have to be back for the kids by 7:30 and all the things. So yeah, I think that absolutely it can be a distraction if you're susceptible to like the notifications coming in and all the stuff. But if you are pretty well disciplined with like your phone, like I say, like, just do what feels right for you. Can night owls ever achieve the same benefits from morning routines as early risers? I would say yes, in their own way. Because they're night owls, maybe their big routine could be like almost like I don't know what this is like, because I'm not a night riser, but like maybe it's like you do your stuff and then you maybe take a short little nap, and then maybe it's almost like the midnight oil of like running it through because you're in the middle of the night is almost like your early morning. So maybe that could be the morning routine, and then you go back to sleep until whatever time you wake up. I can't speak to it. I'm not a night owl. Look, I'm not a night owl, guys. Should every minute of the morning be planned, or is flexibility key to sustainability? I personally like every minute planned. Like I like to have it blocked off, but I don't have that many blocks, if that makes sense. Like I like it blocked off. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing this YouTube video for 30 minutes or whatever, and that's cool. Or I know that I'm going to take the kids to school, but I don't have like every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes, every whatever. Like that would be maybe exhausting, but some people operate that way. Anyways, all right. That's I think we got that for the day. I think that's a good one on morning routines. I appreciate you guys. Currently, if 96% of you right now are not yet subscribed on the channel, like if you can I ask you a favor? Our goal is 50%. If you love what we do here, you love this channel, you love waking up, listening to self-development tips, all that type of stuff, and you'd like to, it to grow bigger and bigger and bigger, can you please hit the subscribe button? It'll help me out. I promise I'll keep on providing more and more good, valuable content for you. Keep on growing bigger and bigger. Sending the energy to you. All right. Take care, guys. All right. Bye.